If you're thinking about moving to Colorado Springs, you may be wondering where some of the best areas to live are. In this series, I've broken down Colorado Springs into 5 different areas, and today we're going to go over the southern portion so you can get a better idea if this area may be right for you. My name is Ben, and in this channel we go over what it's like to live and move to the Colorado Springs area. Having grown up in the area and then moved away and come back, I've gained a lot of experience on some of the intricacies of the area. Also, we are a team of realtors and would love to earn your business, so if you are getting any value out of these videos, we'd love to hear from you, but honestly, I just love making videos about Colorado Springs and what it's like. So give us a call or a text so we can meet you and figure out how we can best help. So like I mentioned, in this series, we're going over the different areas within Colorado Springs. So we've got the central, northern, eastern, southern, and western, and today we're going to go over the southern portion. So that consists of places like Strathmore, the southeast portion, Security Widefield, and the Fountain area. So to jump straight in, this area is going to feel a little bit more like urban suburban. It's a mouthful, but given its proximity to the airport and the downtown, and just the mix of zoning with commercial and residential, going to feel a little bit more urban, but also have a bunch of suburban neighborhoods. The average house size in this area is going to be a little bit smaller, and just in general, the upkeep of this area is not going to be quite as good as some of the other areas within Colorado Springs. And another thing that's really going to affect the feel is the proximity to multiple different military bases. So you have Fort Carson on the southwest side, and then closer to the airport on the southeast side, you're going to have the Peterson Space Force Base. So definitely going to be a lot more military presence in this area, and that is going to affect the feel. And then another really interesting thing when I was doing some research that's going to affect the feel of this area is just the overall demographic. So this area of Colorado Springs is actually going to be the youngest at around 32 years of age versus the overall whole of Colorado Springs that sits at about around 35. So this is going to be the youngest area, and this area is also the most culturally diverse. So that's definitely going to affect the feel. And here's a color-coded map of the general diversity so you can kind of see what I mean by this. It's also important to note that there is one specific area within the southern portion that does feel a little bit different than the rest of the area, and that's going to be like the Strathmore Hills section. Having grown up in the area, I've pretty much driven every inch of road within the city, but this is one specific area I just really hadn't explored much and was really impressed. The overall landscape of this area is going to be a little bit different than the rest of the southern portion because you're a little bit more west towards the mountains. And in this southwest portion, specifically towards the mountains, the way that the mountains are curved, it kind of almost feels like it wraps around you, versus a lot of portions of Colorado Springs, it just kind of feels like a line of mountains to the west. So this kind of gives you a whole new mountain town feel, and was really apparent specifically in this area. And overall, this area is just really well kept, and in general, the price of the houses down here are going to be a little bit less than the average that is around the $450 mark within all of Colorado Springs. And also, the way it's positioned, you're about a 10-minute drive if you hop on just South Nevada to the downtown, making this a great area for young professionals, or if you are commuting to the Army base at Fort Carson, you're also just a quick drive as well. At the end of the day, when we were done filming, we took a break and we ended up actually stopping at a local brewery in this section of town, and really good experience given the vibe of the area, and even ended up making friends with the owner of the food truck that they had hosted that day. That being said, this area is going to be a little bit of an anomaly compared to the rest of the southern portion of Colorado Springs. If I were to describe this area as a whole to someone who is looking at moving here, I'd say it's urban suburban that could use a little bit of love, but the houses do come at a discount. In thinking about the downsides to this area, the biggest con is really going to be the fact that the overall crime rate is going to be a little bit higher in this area compared to the rest of the metro. As a realtor, it's super important to note too that crime rates are going to be relative based on what you're used to, and this is just compared to the rest of the metro area. What a good area for you is going to be completely based on what you're used to. So if you are moving from a bigger city, this may feel like a super safe area, or if you're moving from a really small rural town, it may not feel the safest. So again, going to be really dependent on what you're used to. That being said, here is a color-coded crime map that kind of shows you the whole of Colorado Springs. And this is going to be statistical data on crime incidences, not necessarily like relativity, and not necessarily just the feel of the area. So this is going to be more hard data. The second biggest downside to this area is just going to be the general upkeep. So you'll notice a lot of houses that just could use a little bit of love and attention and work. And there's also going to be quite a few vacant retail spots just because businesses aren't really wanting to open up shop here purely based on the fact that there's just not as much money circulating through the area. In doing some research, I did find that they passed some legislation in this area that's going to help pump a couple $1 million into covering criminal justice fees and to helping businesses get started in this area. So hopefully in the near future that'll kind of help some of these issues, but just so you know, the general upkeep of this area not going to be quite as good, and there are quite a few vacant retail spots. That being said, there are a couple big businesses located in this area. So you have the Broadmoor World Arena near the Stratmore Hills neighborhood that hosts big concerts and events. And then you also have the airport, which is kind of weird thinking about it as a business, but in reality it is. And the last downside to this area, which you honestly could think about it as a pro depending on who you are, is that this area is going to be in general around 3 to 5 degrees hotter on average. Personally, not a huge fan, especially in the summertime, but if you're someone who likes just a little bit more mild climate, especially during the winter time, this area is going to be around 3 to 5 degrees hotter. It's kind of hard to pull data on this southern region that I've come up with. However, if you look at the Fountain area, so the furthest south, kind of shows that it's around 3 to 5 degrees hotter compared to just all of Colorado Springs as a whole. And side note too, if you are looking to live in this area because of house prices and commute to Denver, do know that you're going to hit 2 rush hours with Colorado Springs and Denver, and overall this commute could be upwards of 2+ hours. That being said, one of the biggest pros to this area is going to be the cost. So in general, these houses are going to be around $100,000 less than the median price within the whole of Colorado Springs. So if you're looking to buy a house in this area, it's going to run you around $370,000 on average, and if you're looking to rent, it's going to be around $1,850, and that is with houses and apartments. So if you're looking to rent, it's going to be quite a bit cheaper than that. But that kind of does it for the southern portion of Colorado Springs. So let us know in the comments whether you think this is a great area to call home or you think this is an area you should stay away from. And we'll see you next time for the western portion of Colorado Springs, which is my personal favorite.